Hey, Randy, what you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. I'm just making a list of things that make me feel really, really good.
Wearing Bombas socks.
Trust me, that's number one on my list. Bombas socks feel so good because we use the smartest design and best materials, making them the most comfortable socks ever.
Plus, because socks are the number one most requested clothing item in homeless shelters, we donate a pair for every pair purchased, and that feels pretty good too.
To shop Bombas or learn more about how your purchase supports those experiencing homelessness, go to bombas.com/comfy and get 20% off your first purchase.
10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You have entered Untold Radio AM. And now broadcasting from a secret location, your hosts, Joel Sturgis and Doug Hijack. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Untold Radio AM.
What word
if I could
was that?
spit that out.
Another audition. A nushin?
Yeah, whatever I said, I'm going to have to go back and listen. But
Were you watching?
Yeah.
Were you watching the Joe Biden press conference? He said nushin.
No,
Yeah,
I
I heard a lot.
I missed it.
I heard a
missed
lot
it.
of words like that. Just these interesting words. I'm like, oh,
Well, you know, the last president we had, he was good at that too.
oh yeah.
But nobody will ever beat George W. Bush. He was the king. He was so funny to listen to. He was hilarious, wouldn't you say? I mean, the guy was just genuinely funny. Because I remember this one time, I was watching him on TV, and you know, I think they were talking about women's health at that point, and he says, I want to make it a world where the OBGYNs can practice their love with women. Do you remember when he said that? I remember when he said that. It was hilarious. But he would say things. You know, I think he said Texas, or it could have been Tennessee. I think it was Tennessee. No, maybe it was Texas.
Anyhow, there were like thousands that spewed out of Biden's mouth today.
Oh, yeah.
It was incredible. I was like trying to follow what he was saying. I'm like, what?
Well, you know. What do you do? What do you do, man?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what you do is we have Tim Halloran on the show tonight.
Yes.
And he's the author of upcoming book, The Bigfoot Influencers. So we're going to find out who's influencing Bigfoot.
Isn't that a cool name?
That is. The book highlights researchers, scientists, and influencers who are currently performing impactful work on the study related to the subject of Bigfoot.
Yeah. So it's gonna. So it'll be kind of a Bible.
It will be an interesting book. Yeah, I think it'll be great. It's not out yet, is it now?
No.
It's not quite out.
It'll be out soon, though.
So.
I think he's winding up.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to our talk with him, bottom of the hour. Get to find out, you know, what's in the Bigfoot Bible.
So as I told you, I'm a little under the weather. I'm medicated up with Tylenol, more Tylenol. It's been a really kind of a tough week. High fever, headache. Your bones feel like they're being crushed.
Damn.
Like from the inside, like you're turning into a werewolf, you know that. And then the headaches, and it's just kind of it's a weird thing. You sleep like constantly, but you never sleep for more than an hour. And you wake up thirsty, dehydrated.
Really?
Never been so dehydrated. With
constantly thirsty.
With a disease, yeah, it's crazy.
Damn.
Like I'll probably drink a gallon of water for this podcast.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, my lips never get dry, and they're all dried and cracked from. It's like your body won't absorb the water. It's weird.
Huh. So
Which is probably
yeah.
a lot of people get admitted to the hospital with dehydration.
You have you have the fever, you have the body aches,
Yep.
you got the dehydration. Sounds like a bad hangover.
It's a lot worse than a hangover.
Yeah, I mean, you know that is it kind of like a hangover dehydration? Is that the closest you could describe it?
It's worse than that.
Really? Oh, that ain't cool.
Because the other weird thing is water doesn't taste good. So you drink the water and it tastes like metal.
Yeah.
And it just, it's not, it doesn't really do much.
Oosh.
Yeah, so I'm hoping on the tail end here, and I'll be feeling better in a day or two. I'm hoping.
Get better soon.
I'm hoping. Anyhow, can't be as bad as I was reading an article. It was the grossest thing, and I was already, like, I had ordered Cane's chicken today, thinking, no, that sounded good, because I haven't eaten like anything in 2 days.
Yeah.
I ordered Cane's chicken, which is always good, and I was kind of craving it. And I'm eating it, and I'm reading an article about a new Oscar Mayer product.
Oscar Mayer.
Yeah,
My wiener does, in fact, have a first name.
Yeah, Mayer, Oscar Mayer. Anyhow, so it's a beauty mask, and it looks like it's made out of bologna. And I'm like, oh, gross.
So, Oscar Mayer is now getting in the facial game, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
So, beauty products.
Yep. Beauty product.
Made of meat.
Probably smells and it looks like bologna. And it's just...
What the hell is wrong with people?
Oh, God, I just got the chills. And I'm thinking, anybody who puts that on their face, you know, husbands will bitch about the wives, you know, putting a mask on before bed. Oh, this one will really get them.
Unless they like bologna sandwiches.
And it never mentioned what it was, what it smells like. Yeah,
I could only imagine.
I hope to God it's not bologna.
Well, you know, it's. Did the article say what kind of meat byproducts it's made out of?
I don't know. It's not edible. I know that.
Yeah.
You know me. If someone wants to look it up. Kraft Oscar Mayer.
I know.
Taps into nostalgia, self-care with bologna mask.
That is so strange.
Ugh, gross.
Oof.
Then you go to the next article, and I'm
officially endorsed by Ed Gein.
And I was looking at the mess, the train yards. Have you seen this?
I've seen that. Yeah, we were talking about that at work too. That people are over in California,
Yeah.
They're robbing trains. I mean, train robberies are actually on the rise. And I watched a video from where it's happening, and the train yard is just littered with garbage.
Oh, it's bad.
Like trash, stuff that they're robbing. And evidently they were like, you know, they got one of them to kind of talk in anonymity, one of these thieves, and they were talking about like stealing a $50,000 robotic arm and then selling it. I mean, they're making money on anything from Amazon right now.
Well, you would think that there would be enough loss in every container. What would you estimate a container's worth? $300,000? The merchandise?
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be. Why not hire a guard? Sit up there with some kind of, God knows, I don't care, from a paintball gun to a sniper rifle.
Something, yeah. Something to stop them from stealing from the train yards.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Not good. I'm just thinking, what's next?
It's getting crazy, man. Life is getting crazier as we go.
Yeah, well, part of the problem is, of course, these district attorneys are not prosecuting anybody. You catch them, you just release them.
Yeah, yes, to catch a release, Yeah. We're kind of, maybe we're getting to that tipping point in our prison systems that, we can't keep everybody. House them. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I know they blame it on the big C word. The old rotavirus. But there's more to it. I mean, there's overcrowding's been an issue forever, and maybe it's just people not being normal anymore. I mean, it's horrible.
No, I mean, it has to do with the laws, Joel. They're releasing people. It's legal to steal under $1,000 per day.
See, now
that's the problem.
It's not legal to steal at all, Doug.
It's not illegal to steal at all?
No, it's not legal.
Yeah, but they're not prosecuting anybody, and they've announced it.
See, that's the problem right there. You can't go on TV or radio or any kind of print and say, hey, by the way, here's the deal, is we are not going to prosecute anybody from here on in for these crimes. ... All you're doing is you're giving them a license then to commit crimes.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. And what they should do with these people, and I know I might catch some heat, but they should shoot them on sight. They're stealing. They should be dealt with swiftly.
Well, at the very least, they couldn't hire guards. They could, use a better lock. Obviously, they're just using old cut.
What I'm saying is, other countries, they don't put up with that tomfoolery.
Mm-mm. No, but not only will they not do anything, they're not doing anything even after they catch them. So it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
I know what I said was quite extreme. I'm not saying they should shoot them on sight, like, really, but at the same token, it's like, how do you stop it?
You prosecute people from,
Well, yeah. You prosecute people at our expense.
If you rob a train because it's so crucial to our infrastructure, you're going to serve 15 years in prison, period. And stop instantly.
Yeah, it would stop, and it would definitely hinder it at the very least, and that's what we need, is someone to step up and do just that.
Yeah.
To just actually be law and order and do it.
Then did you read that this guy? I was thinking about him because I felt like I was 112 today. That this world's oldest man died at 112, almost made it to 113 in Spain.
Dang.
That's old.
That is old. That's doing something right.
Or something
That is
wrong.
doing something right.
Or something wrong.
Or something wrong, depending upon your perspective.
Yep.
That's
how healthy he was. If he was healthy and enjoyed life.
Yeah, I mean,
no problem.
who would want to live to be 113 and crippled up?
Right.
Nobody. Nobody would want to do that. That'd be horrible.
Anyhow.
So, I say I want to live as long as my health holds out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's most people.
Yeah.
And then I heard Louis Anderson, who we had on as a guest, was in the hospital, and he's been diagnosed with a type of blood cancer.
No, not Louis.
Yep.
Oh.
It's got large B-cell lymphoma.
Well, that is sad.
Form of blood cancer. I do believe, from what I know about that it's curable.
Well, that's good.
So.
That is good.
Let's all just say a prayer for Louis. Adam actually flew down to Vegas to go keep him company.
Man, that is sad. I mean, it's sad, but it's happy at the same time. It's sad that he has it, but it's also good that it's curable.
Yeah.
So, look how far we've come in medical science.
Yeah,
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just slow. I'm really slow. There's like a delayed fuse with me.
Yeah. You're pretty ill, my friend. You're pretty ill.
And then this I haven't downloaded it yet, but I plan on trying to download it. They just created the world's largest 3D map of the universe.
Really?
So you can
Wow.
upload this whole map, 3D of the universe. It's got, apparently they're going to catalog 7.5 million galaxies. That'll be
Man.
in this map.
Huh.
And I should be able to find you then. Finally, up there in Gilbert.
There you go.
And they're going to,
Yeah, hey, did you see tonight now? I'm not sure where you are, but this is most of the nation. We're cold, man. We're very cold.
yeah.
We're going to have 35 below zero where I am tonight.
Well, I don't know about there, but here it was like almost 50 degrees. And then literally the temp started dropping and wind started blowing. And it went from almost 50 degrees to, 20 below zero.
Weight loss starts with the mind, and nobody knows this better than Martha Cameron, who lost 20 pounds on Noom Weight.
Yeah, I lost 20 pounds and kept it off.
So Martha, why did Noom Weight work so well for you?
Well, Noom was just a really positive weight loss experience for me, and compared to other weight loss programs, they gave me the freedom and flexibility to keep eating what I loved, and that made all the difference in the world because it made me actually enjoy the process. You know what I mean?
Oh, we know, Martha. Learn how Noom's psychological approach can help you lose weight at Noom.com.
Yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was warm up here. But yeah, it's going to be about 35 below zero tonight. And so meaning that you could actually take that cup of water you see the weathermen do all the time.
Yep.
And you could throw it in the atmosphere and make it'll freeze while it's in the air.
Or pound a nail with a banana.
Yeah, you can pound a nail with a banana, do all sorts of fun things, and Mother Nature's wrath, she'll just try to kill us all is all it is.
Take your wife's jeans out of the washing machine and stand them up out on the snowbank, and they'll freeze solid.
Right.
In the shape of your
right.
Yeah.
Your wife.
You do that?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never done that.
And if you did do it, it would only happen once.
It would only happen once. That would not be a good idea on my part.
Yes, you would be.
I like to live.
You would be joining the guy in Spain.
I would be. Well, at least Spain is warm.
But think about a 3D map with 70 or 35 million galaxies. How in the hell would you even use it?
How would you fit it into a room?
Well, but it's a digital map. You know what I mean?
Oh, gotcha. Okay. It's not an actual.
Yeah, but it's 3D.
Printed.
It's 3D. So it means if it's digital and in terms, you could print it.
Yeah, that's true. You could, but yeah. I mean, I'm trying to absorb what you just said. That's huge.
Yeah, apparently what they're doing is scanning the whole universe.
Yeah. Huh.
Using a spectroscopic instrument.
Okay, a universe that we know of so far.
The universe, yeah, right.
Yeah, because
So
I bet you there's
well, I wonder if they're going to learn anything, or it'll just be, documenting what they already know. Who knows?
Who knows? It could be cataloging what they already know.
I lost it.
Kind of thing.
Lost interest in the article.
Yeah.
I started reading it, and then I'm like, it's enough.
Well, sure. Yeah. So I understand that. Those articles, like you said, you read just enough to figure it out, and then you stop.
And then, we always hear about global warming.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about the Earth's core? Apparently, there was a scientific paper published, and that the core of the Earth, which is normally molten, is cooling really rapidly.
And what do they attribute that to?
Okay, so here's how what they're doing is measuring something they call it's the boundary between the Earth's core and the heat conducting mineral commonly found at the boundary between Earth's core and hang on here and the mantle, and it's called I think I can find it. I had it right in front of me, and I lost
it. Left.
I lost it between the baloney Anyhow, so apparently they're just studying this. It's called like the bridge mantle
Yeah.
mineral.
Okay.
And I'm like, I was surprised it was even in the paper because you can't tax anybody on the core. But then I
That's
was
true.
thinking, it's probably all the fault of Gilbert, Minnesota.
More than likely. It's probably all their fault.
Yeah, because you said it's getting, what, 35 below tonight?
35 below zero. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't even know what a good comeback for that one. 35 below zero is so cold. I just had some pop up saying, how cold is it? It is, believe me, if you've never experienced 35 below zero, yeah. It's something. Let me tell you.
Yep, you probably saw the hydrants are chasing the dogs.
Probably, yeah, for heat.
For heat, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have never experienced that kind of cold weather. It's quite different.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, you get cold weather where you are, very cold. So, it gets just as cold.
Yep, it does. We definitely if you live in like a lower area, all the cold air just kind of sinks into it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I live, it is kind of a valley.
Yeah.
And all this cold air sinks in it. Have you ever ridden your bike? Remember when you were a kid? You'd go up a hill and it'd be all warm and nice and warm. Then you'd go down a hill and man, I mean, the temps would drop 25 degrees.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, good old Mother Nature.
And Gilbert, I believe, is kind of in a valley right before the Laurentian Divide.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, which Laurentian Divide is a cool place. Never been. Definitely suggest you guys visit. That is it's a natural formation that divides right there. It's basically it's an inverted fault is what it is. It's not like a fault you'd think of, but it's like a mountainous fault. It's where they collided the plates. Yes, there it is.
Well,
There's
it's where the water all flows north from that point on. So it's one of the lowest spots. Right before
there it is.
Just keeps getting lower and lower towards you get to the Arctic. And
yep, it starts right there.
Yep, and it's you about what, 20 miles?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's as the crow flies, what, about 8, 10?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but I know what you mean. But it's cool because the weather now. You could be where I am, and cross the Laurentian Divide and get completely different weather.
Yep.
It could be hotter. It could be colder. You could have a snowstorm. It really it's so strange.
So when I'm sick, I tend to, look online because it's about the only thing that you can do. I don't even feel like watching TV. When I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
So I was just online. I was looking up and I typed in, what are the weirdest animals in the world? I thought there's got to be one I haven't heard of.
My dog.
Your dog is one?
My dog. My dogs, I have 2 of them, and they're both very strange.
Oh. And I really had a hard time finding one I hadn't heard of ever.
The duck-billed platypus.
There's some weird ones. Have you ever heard of the Irrawaddy dolphin?
No, I have not.
Looks like kind of a tuna. It's really weird. It's a true dolphin, but it's tiny. It's got a very rounded head. I should send you this link. Super interesting.
That is strange.
Type in, look online and go to weirdest animals in the world. I think there's 61 of them. Yeah, 60.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
61 strangest animals on Earth that you probably didn't know of.
Let's see. They
have really nice color pictures of these creatures.
try to type with one hand here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got some strange ones. That is for sure. Wow.
I was looking at the Dumbo octopus. There's no way that can be real, but it is.
Yeah.
Looks like
it's real.
You see it there, number 3?
Number 3 is going to be... Come on.
The Dumbo octopus.
The Dumbo octopus. I must be on a different list than you are. 61. There it is. There it is. Let's take a look at these things here. Look at that thing. That is an interesting looking creature. Huh. Who knew?
I don't think it's very big either.
No, I don't think it is either.
And then check out the next one with the very bizarre... You can see its head is like an aquarium. You can see right into its skull.
That is so strange, yeah. That is nuts.
You can see its optic nerves. And
yeah, isn't that weird? It's like a see-through skull.
Yeah. It's alien.
That is odd.
And they live 2,000 foot. It's called the Macropina microstoma.
And they live 2,000 feet under the sea.
Yeah.
2,600 feet is where they call it home. Wow, that's pretty deep.
Okay, go down to number 5 and look at the Irrawaddy dolphin.
I am. That looks cute. Come on.
That is super
kind of a cute animal. But nothing compared to the lowland streaked, what is that, Tenrec? There it is, Tenrec. He looks like a cute fella. Although I wouldn't want to hug him because, he looks like a porcupine at the same time.
He looks a little pokey.
Yep, he looks like he's a little prickly.
Yep, and then there's your favorite, the red-lipped batfish.
That is right there. Oh, look at that lipstick on that one. Yep. Looks like my prom date.
Yeah, I think you should print that one out and put it on your wall.
I should. That'd be my pinup.
It does look like a lipstick, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Yep, all painted lips and ready to party. Let me tell you. How about the glass frog? Interesting.
Hey, you skipped over the Sunda Kalugo. Which is like...
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's a cute little critter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a bat, I think.
Interesting. Well,
a flying lemur. Found only in...
Well, nothing wrong with a flying lemur. Yep, flying lemur. That's really what it is.
Flick your light on and have that just in your kitchen, staring at you.
Ah, it's cute.
You would freak, man.
I wouldn't freak. Too loud. I've seen worse. I live in Minnesota. I've seen much stranger things.
And we have the fossa. Just like cross between an otter and a cougar.
It kind of looks like a dachshund that had relations with a cougar.
Yeah. I can see that.
That long wiener dog body and the cougar eyes. Yep. How about the panda ant?
Yeah, that's not good.
No, that's bad news right there.
The panda ant. Oh, the tufted.
It's actually a wingless. It's a wingless wasp, is what it is.
Yeah. Look at the tufted deer. Got those big wings.
Look at that. Look at those teeth on it. Wow. Man, that is pretty cool. That is pretty darn tootin' cool. We live in an amazing world.
We do.
Doug, we live in an amazing world.
We do.
Well, okay, that Japanese spider crab. Oh, screw that. That looks like something right out of your nightmares.
Yes. Look how huge it is.
That is something that, no, hell no. No.
Okay, so if you came home and flipped your light on, and that would...
If I saw that, I'm running.
So you would freak at that one.
I would freak. I would flip my cookies, man. I'd be so gone. I would be gone. I'd be heading south on Highway 53 so fast and make everyone's head spin.
So for the audience, I mean, it's basically, 8-foot diameter spider?
That's a big old spider. Yeah, that thing's huge. The Japanese spider crab lives in the waters near Japan and has the largest leg span of any arthropod, reaching up to 5.5 meters or 18 feet. 18 feet. Despite looking ferocious, the crab has been reported to have a gentle disposition. Yeah, until you meet the one that you piss off. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's quite. Excuse me. I cannot hit my cough button quick enough.
Well, no, that's a big old crab.
And then the Sayaga antelope. That's like right out of a Star Wars movie.
Right?
There's a close-up of its nose. It just doesn't even make sense.
No, why? Why would God? God must create these animals, or our Creator decides to do it for some reason. He only knows why. Some of these animals are just crazy. The leafy sea dragon. That's an interesting animal.
I saw one of those in person once.
Really?
At the Great Lakes Aquarium.
Oh yeah, in Duluth there.
Yep. They had a display and they had one there, and I was like just fascinated.
Yeah, but number 19 looks like
Hi, it's me, Jennifer Garner, co-founder of Once Upon a Farm. Do I have a mom hack for you? Our new immunity blends are made with clean, organic, cold-pressed fruits and veggies and paired with probiotics to help support your little ones before, during, and after sniffle season. Nutritious, delicious, craved by kiddos and trusted by parents. Use code AUDIO for an extra 25% off your first customized subscription order at onceuponafarmorganics.com. That's onceuponafarmorganics.com.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I know. Yeah, never mind. The penis snake.
Yeah, that's
what they call it. The penis snake.
That is like one ugly looking thing.
Wow. They actually call it the penis snake. That is funny.
And gee, I wonder why.
Oh man, we gotta run a break. We come back. We got to move on here. We got Tim coming on the show. We're gonna want to talk to Mr. Tim Halloran. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Untold Radio AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Highcheck. I do believe that he has survived with me to the other side of the break.
Yes.
Doug, how the hell are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
E-meter? You're feeling okay?
I'm feeling really good. Better than I've ever felt in my whole life.
Oh, shut up. Now you're lying to me.
I'll survive. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Okay, we got a great guest on tap tonight. We have Mr. Tim Halloran on the show. He is an author of the upcoming book, Bigfoot Influencers, and that will be published by Hanger One Publishing. Doug, you have something to do with that, right?
Yes.
The book highlights researchers, scientists, and influencers who are currently performing impactful work on the study related to the subject of Bigfoot. With the influencers, Tim dives into their theories, experiences, and research, giving readers a glimpse into the historical impact on the subject and their current projects. Wow, man, very cool. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate Joel, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so what got you kind of into Bigfoot?
Well, actually, first I want to start with, I was listening to the pre-show a little bit, and so the oldest woman alive right now, or the oldest person alive, is 119 years old, and she's in Japan. So I just thought I'd throw that out there from the conversation you and Doug had earlier on the show. So I thought that was super interesting. 119, can you believe that?
So
could you imagine doing that?
What's the oldest person that's ever lived, I do wonder?
I think Dana was telling me, I think it's 122. Really? But I think so. She's in the other room. She'll probably run in here and tell me, but 100, I think that's what it was.
God, that'd be horrible.
But you know what? When you're 122, you're not going to want to die.
Well, that's true. That's true.
It's just, that's crazy. Just think of all the things, all the technology changes that a 122-year-old person would expect.
Yeah, has seen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, 119, so she was born in, 1903 or somewhere around there. It's insane.
Yeah,
just insane to think about.
Pretty much pre-car, pre-technology of anything. Yeah. And then...
Kind of born when the West was still kind of wild yet. I mean, think about that.
Yep.
You know, 1903, still... So that's an accomplishment, and all those things that person's lived through. I mean, lived through 2 world wars. Lived through, of course, everything that we've gone through now a pandemic.
Well, people still...
two of them, 2 pandemics.
Joel, people were still delivering goods by horse and buggy in 1818, as an example.
Now, I'm not sure she survived minus 35 degrees like you have there, Joel, but, that's brutal.
Let me tell you. Yeah, it's living in the northern frozen tundra that we live in. And it's good for the soul.
It is.
What I do?
What's that,
Let me tell you what I actually do in this weather. What I have done, might do it again. We'll see if I have the, intestinal fortitude to do it. I take a sauna And then as soon as I'm done the sound, I jump in a snowbank.
God, Joel, we don't need to that. Oh no.
You should all try at least one time. Just one time.
We'll take your word for it, Joel. How about that?
Yeah. It will take your breath away.
Look, I will say, look, as Doug knows, I love you guys. You guys are amazing on the show. You've got amazing people you bring on the show. But I enjoy, this might be a weird quirk of mine, the first 30 minutes is just cool. I mean, you guys just have a cool dynamic. You go back and forth, you pull the weird things up. I crack up all the time, especially when Joel starts diving in and asking Doug about, what happened this week or this day, whether it's the eggs or it's all the cool stuff. I just laugh every single week. It's just cool. So
I'm glad to hear it, Tim. Glad to hear it. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Joel, I mean, you guys are supposed to be asking me questions, but what's the funniest story about Doug that you've ever heard or that he's ever told you?
Oh boy. Let me tell you this. Doug does not like to be dirty, believe it or not. He does not like to be a dirty Doug. So this last, what was it, June, Doug? We went on a 4-wheeler ride, ATV ride for charity. And he was a mud man. I'm telling you, not just a little dirt. A lot of dirt. Like, hey, Doug, you're covered in dirt. Like, you got a little bit everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was, all I saw was his eyes. It was great. It was funny.
So was his white hair brown?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. He was brown. I mean, he was a mud man.
Cool.
I guess he'd have to be there, but it was so funny. Because he could just tell he was just irritated as all hell at this point.
What happened that night is we got booted from our hotel room. So we're all excited to get done, go back, take a shower. And all of a sudden get to the hotel and they have our stuff in bags.
Yeah, they gave you guys the bum's rush. That's
and I'm like, no. If any time you could do this, don't do it today.
And Doug, didn't was Blaine or Alex with you that weekend?
Oh, it was just me and Adam.
Oh, Adam, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't keep track of all the
he was just
30 kids you have. So
he was just
right.
I was. So then we had to just leave, right? Because there was no hotels, and at this point we're kind of grumpy. So we go home, we drive home, and we are covered. I mean, covered. All we can see is the whites of our eyes with dirt. And we stopped at Gordy's Hi-Hat to get it's like the world's best burger. And we looked like monsters.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was,
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm sure you had a big chuckle out of that, Joel.
Oh, of course I did.
Yeah.
Of course I was just as dirty as you were.
Yes,
but
you got to go home and take a shower.
I went home, took a shower. Me and Abe Del Rio, right? He was staying at my house at that point. And he's a longtime Bigfoot researcher and good friend. We we took a shower, and the first thing, not together, mind you. I don't want to study rumors. Separate bathrooms and took showers. And the first thing Abe says is, "I wonder how Doug feels about now."
Yeah, you guys were just so happy.
It was a good day. It was a good time.
It was.
Cool.
It was.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyhow, so
all right.
So we did go to Mike's room, and we used all his towels, his white towels, all of them.
Yep.
And we just
every single one of them.
We just did a what kind of bath in the sink with the towels, and we left 20 of these muddy towels all over his floor, and we just split.
Yeah, they just left him. Like, there you go.
Yeah.
Your problem now.
Anyhow.
Yeah, good
So
times.
Tim, did you see have you ever seen a Bigfoot?
No, I have not seen a Bigfoot.
Have you ever had any type of experience?
I have not.
Then what in the hell are you so interested in the topic for then?
That's a great question, Doug. So, I grew up in the 70s. I'm a little, I guess I'm in between you guys. I mean, not that you're old, Doug, at all, and I'm sure I'm a little older than Joel. So grew up in the '70s. The PG film, was just like the iconic. I mean, I think all of us who grew up at that time period just fell in love with it. And then, I didn't really take it. I hate to say I didn't take it seriously, but I was always open-minded to it, but I just didn't dive into it, I guess. And then my wife Dana, she used to watch Monster Quest and Finding Bigfoot with Gabriel, our son, and they grew up watching that. They just loved it. And she eventually, one time, she convinced me to go out to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. So I said, okay, I'll go, kind of as a skeptic. And again, I was open-minded, but I just wasn't I wasn't into it. So I got out there. We got there a day early. I remember checking in, and and I'm checking in at the same time as Jeff Meldrum. So, I don't care. I'm just like, hey, Jeff, what's going on? And then, but we get there early. We meet Mark DeWorth. So Mark DeWorth, that started with Don Keating, obviously. And then Mark took over for Don Keating with the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, which I think the Ohio Bigfoot Conference is probably set the stage for there's some amazing conferences out there around the country, but Ohio is pretty cool. It's kind of nostalgic, I guess. So we get there early. We ended up we just went down to grab a bite to eat. And Mark saw us, Mark DeWorth, and he pulled us in. He said, "Hey, he was super accommodating. Saw that we came in. He thinks we look like it. He tells me, he goes, yeah, you guys look like deers in headlight, but I don't buy that. But anyway, we kind of walk in, and we just start getting to know him. We're both folks that are really personable and like talking to people. And then Mark invited us out to a dinner that they do for the VIPs. So we got to hang out. We got to hang out with Jeff Meldrum and Cliff and Bobo and John Wilk and a bunch of other folks. And just over the course of the event, we got to just get to know them as people and just bounce ideas off of them. And I'm still a skeptic, so I'm just still thinking like, yeah, these are some weird people out here, even though I was open-minded. So, but I sat and listened to Jeff and Cliff, and they had their presentations, and I never forget sitting there. I'm thinking, wow, there's actually folks that are putting science to this, and this really could be something that's out there in the woods. So that's really kind of what got me going, and that's where it started.
So was hearing Jeff do his lecture kind of convinced you that that's at least worthwhile to pay attention to?
100%. Yeah, Jeff, and then Cliff came back to back, and Cliff is super diligent on what he does and educated on it. And I'm just like, wow, there's people who actually that are putting science and time and effort and being tactical about this, and it really was, it really opened my eyes.
Yeah, it is an eye-opening experience, especially if you've never experienced a conference before, talk to the folks, and they're so smart. Like Cliff, oh my God, just absolute genius. All of them are. Dr. Meldrum, completely, just absolutely blow your doors off, just intelligent. And so these are really cool to sit and talk with people like that.
Very high IQ people.
And there's so many folks that come through that conference, and I unfortunately I missed some of the times when Bob Gimlin and some of the folks were coming through there. But I mean, I've met Tom Shea and Daniel Perez and Russ Jones. Obviously Matt Pruitt's been out there. Matt, and it's just so many people come through there. It's just pretty cool. Once you open your eyes to it. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a big leap from just getting interested to writing a book.
Yeah, true. So you want to hear about that too?
Yeah, hear about the leap.
So this is kind of a twofold story. So I'm just, fast forwarding years after my first conference. I'm not even sure how it came into my head, but I'm just, I'm an idea guy. I'm like Doug, but not on steroids like Doug. I like ideas and I like to create things. And I just, I listen to podcasts. I read books. I just try to follow it, and I go to conferences. There's a lot of things you do. And one day I said to myself, I said, if I'm the average enthusiast, I become friends with some of these folks, which is great. But if I'm the average enthusiast, how do I know who's doing what? I mean, there's so many people doing things out here that nobody knows about. I mean, we see the people on TV, obviously. There's folks we see, but if you don't know, there's just amazing people out there that aren't household names, even though they're critical people in the research of the subject. So it's just pretty. So that's kind of this light bulb went off. So I said, hey, there's not. I hate to say a who's who because it's not really who's who, because I know I'm going to leave us so many people out here that are doing great work. But I just wanted to kind of have, like, I know Doug said a Bible. Well, maybe a directory is better. I don't know what the right word for it is, but I just thought that it'd be a great idea to put some things together. So
yeah.
And
you could call it the definitive guide.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure. So what happened, Joel? So I'm going to backtrack a minute, and I'm going to tell you how I met Doug, because this is a pretty cool story. I'm going to keep it PG rated. So Dana and I are sitting. We're watching one night. We're at home. We're sitting watching. We said we want to watch Legend Meet Science, because it's my opinion, the best documentary ever made on the subject. So we're scanning around on trying to stream it. We're trying to figure, and we can't find it anywhere. It's just not available to stream. I'm like, what's going on here? So I'm Facebook friends with Doug. So I say, you know what? I'm gonna message Doug. Just out of the blue. He's never talked to me. We're friends on Facebook, but we've never talked.
Yeah.
So Doug obviously listened. The folks who've listened to the show here, Doug's not new to Facebook, but it's probably been within Joel, the last 1 or 2 years.
Oh,
I
man,
guess.
we got it. Yeah, I got him signed up about a year ago now.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to message Doug. So I just message him. I honestly, I'm probably a glass or two of wine in, so I was feeling kind of relaxed. So I messaged him, say, Doug, I'm trying to find, how can I watch Legend Meet Science? I can't find it anywhere. I'm on YouTube. And he said, well, and then he replies to me like the same night, like an hour or two later. He goes, well, if it's on YouTube, it's a bootleg copy. And he goes, and this is how cool Doug is. I mean, I don't know if people realize this, and Joel, you're awesome too. He goes, okay, give me your address. Doug, 3 or 4 days later, in the mail, I get a DVD copy of Legend Meet Science. And I'm like, this is a guy who doesn't even know who I am. We're just Facebook friends. And he takes the time and sends me this DVD. So that was just pretty cool. That
is cool. Doug's a cool guy like that.
Yeah. And I got to say, all the researchers in this book, everybody, they just have a respect for Doug. You don't ruffle people the wrong way. I mean, maybe you do, I don't know about it, but everyone I've talked to, they've got a respect for you, and it's just a cool thing. So I appreciate that, Doug, and that's how Joel, that's how Doug and I met. So
that's a very cool story.
Yeah,
very
I mean,
cool
story.
story.
Doug, how did you guys meet, you and Joel?
At a conference, right, Doug?
Yep.
Yeah.
At a conference.
Yeah, conference.
Oh no, I mean the real true story. I was just joking. I just saw Joel standing there. I pulled up to the conference.
Oh, yeah.
And Joel was standing there, and he had this big friendly look on his face. I just threw him my car keys. And I said, would you mind parking my... And I was just giving him crap,
Cool.
And so, yeah, sure. So he parked my Jeep. We were friends ever since.
Whatever, I'll park this old man's Jeep. I'll help him out. One night. He probably has dementia.
He looked so friendly, like he just needed someone to give him a hug.
I don't know. I'm good. Anyone out there listening, I am not a hugger, so do not try to do that.
I didn't hug you. No.
No, but just for future reference, if someone's listening to this podcast, they come up and want to give me a hug, I am good.
But it was if I already knew you.
Yeah.
Like we were already good buds for some weird reason. Because I have never done that to anybody. Ever.
Well, good to know.
So
now.
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 We just sat in the car, in between whatever talks and crap at the conference, and we'd go grab lunch and stuff, and we just couldn't shut up. We're just telling stories and yeah.
Oh yeah,
cool.
Good times,
good times. Cool. That's awesome.
Seems so long ago now, but yeah, it wasn't really that long ago, but it just seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And since then, yeah, lots happened. So.
Well, anyway, I enjoy you guys. I mean, it's just you guys have a cool dynamic, and I enjoy listening to you. I'm sure everyone else does that's listening here as well, and hopefully, you keep growing your listeners, which is really cool.
Here's the deal, though. For me, Doug is like that weird uncle I never had. No, I'm kidding. No, honestly, Doug is he's a good friend of mine. One of my best friends.
Right.
And that's we're very good friends.
I'm like the weird uncle you do have.
That's right. Yes, that's right. I do have, and it's because it's you.
Exactly. So,
well, Joel, you never know. One day there might be a grandkid named Joel. You just don't know. So
you just never know.
You don't know. But back to your question, Joel. The book. So, I knew that there's folks out here doing so much work, innovative, fantastic research on the and with one goal. They want to solve the mystery. Of the Bigfoot phenomenon. 50 years ago, we didn't have television and podcasts and conferences and social media, things that people could go on to. So it was harder for folks to really reach out and file reports or just connect with people. So I just thought, it would be unique to have, I hate to say a roadmap. I don't know what the best thing to call this book is, but it's really so enthusiasts and other researchers, they can see what the other individuals and groups that are doing that are influencing the subject. I ran. So what happened is, so I'm thinking about this idea. I ran it past Dana and I said, hey, what do you think? And she always supports me. She goes, go for it. Just do it. She goes, don't think about it. Just do it. So then I chatted with my buddy Matt Pruitt. I mean, you guys know Matt, and you guys got to get Matt on the show.
Yes.
I mean, Matt is one of the most coolest guys. He's so knowledgeable on the subject. He's just amazing. I mean, you guys will be floored when you guys talk to Matt. Matt he's just awesome. So anyway, I can't wait for you guys to get him. But so then I'm thinking, okay, I talked to Matt. Matt said, yeah, hey, it's a great idea. So at this point, now I think in my mind I'm friends with Doug. Doug sent me a DVD. I'm like, okay, well Doug and I are BFFs. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I knew Doug had a publishing company. I was excited about that. I was following what he was doing with Hangar One. Well, himself, Alex and Blaine, who worked together on that. Yeah. So I reached out to Doug. I said, hey Doug, what do you think? I said I want to talk to you about what you're doing at Hangar One. I've got a book idea. And Doug says, yeah, let's get on a call. He doesn't use his phone, Joel. He uses Facebook, calls me on Facebook. I'm like, wait, where's this guy coming from? But anyway, it's funny. It's great. and then so I talked to him about it, and he thought it was great. And so between him, my wife, and Matt and Doug, when they think it's a good idea, I'm like, well, I guess I'm onto something here. It sounds like it's a pretty cool idea. So typical Doug fashion, though, I give him the idea. He goes, I went from a snail crawl to probably 100 miles an hour in like 12 hours. Doug said, he goes, I'm going to create a cover for your book, and I'm going to send you a sample of the cover. And then once you get the cover, you're going to be compelled to start writing it. And basically that's what he did. About 2 hours later, I get this cover. And then fast forward, here I am. So it's just yeah, it was just a crazy.
How long did it, Tim? Not to cut you off, but how long did it take you to write the book?
Well, so I'm not completely done yet. I actually, believe it or not, I still have a few interviews to do.
Okay.
I think I think we started kicking this around, and because for me, Joel, it went from just an idea. I'm thinking, hey, I might do this down the road a couple, next year, a year later. And then I talked to Doug and it went, so maybe over the summer, we kind of started the idea. I probably started doing my interviews, August, September. And it's just, so I still have some interviews to do. And to be honest, it's just been such a learning experience for me. My professional career, I interview people because I'm in sales, like yourself, Joel. I know you're, in sales as well, but it's a different way. So I feel sorry for my first couple interviews, which happened to be Matt Pruitt and Lauren Coleman. So because I was just, I was kind of finding my way through, but I adjusted as I went, and I'm still adjusting, and it's just been, so amazing. And the book's really, it has zero to do with me. It's all about the researchers, and that's what I want to. Hopefully, as this book comes out, it's going to be in the researchers' words the best I can. I've got some scripted questions that I ask them, and then I have some individual questions related to their, some things that they've done historically.
Sure.
And so it's been pretty cool from that standpoint. And then we're doing some unique things that Doug and his team, Doug and Alex and Blaine, have brought in, that they're going to do for the book, and we can talk about that too if you like.
Yeah, very cool stuff. I mean, I'm kind of thinking while you're talking, you go from thought to concept to writing the book. It seems like in light speed, which in my world and Doug's world is actually normal speed, because we're both the same way. We go right from concept to boom, doing it like this radio show. We had it ready to go, plotted out, ready to hit air. What one afternoon, Doug?
Yep. Yes.
I mean, really, that's where it went from concept to recording in no time at all.
Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. improves children's health by developing better treatments and technologies. Ranked one of the top children's hospitals in the nation, we take on the most complex, rare, and life-threatening conditions because all children deserve a healthy future. And with our new pediatric-focused research and innovation campus, we are generating and sharing even more discoveries because at Children's National Hospital, we want to help every child grow up stronger. Learn more at childrensnational.org/innovation.
Today's customers expect fast, personalized support. Intercom has the tools you need to deliver just that, efficiently, at any scale. Supercharge your team's productivity and make your customers super happy with Intercom. Learn more at intercom.com/support.
And so that's the great part about like someone like Doug, is it goes from, because we both move, but we're both high paced. We both like to get stuff done right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's nice about working with someone like Doug, is you can get that concept and then go with it then, and no waiting. It just go. It's all go. 100 miles an hour, which is great because things get done. But it can be a breakneck pace, you know what I mean? So my question, I guess, for you is did you ever get starry-eyed? I mean, talking to these researchers, you're getting them one-on-one. Come on, man. Butterflies in the gut. What happened?
Joel, that's a great question too. So I'm fortunate enough that I don't get that way, and that's probably helps me in the long run. I mean, I've been around some professional athletes. I've just been on stage. I've done conferences. I've spoken in front of hundreds of people. So I don't get starry-eyed. I mean, I'm honored. There's sometimes I step back, like Peter Burns in the book, and how do you not get like, wow, I'm chatting with Peter Byrne. I mean, that's pretty cool. So
yeah.
Yeah, great question. But yeah, I think for the most part, I stay calm, cool, and collective. I mean, it's still amazing. Again, these folks, there's so many things these researchers are doing that some people don't even know what they're doing. And it's just, I hope I can shed light on that. And again, it's just to create some awareness that there's so much good work that's being done out here.
So you kind of say in the book is kind of like a celebration of what they're doing, of their work.
That's one way to put it, Joel. I'm almost interviewing. It's almost like I'm interviewing every single person.
Yeah.
So and again, I have my core group of questions, and then I also have so we can keep some consistency, because I think that would be important for the readers, is and then we can go into some sample questions a little bit later. And then getting into some specific questions related to exactly what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, it's really, I want to try to do my best and keep it in their words, and so they can express what they're doing, how they feel, what their theories are, the way they want to express it. So the biggest challenge, honestly, Joel, is, and this has been a group effort, is the greatest thing about this is I get to jump on these and I get to talk to all these researchers, and and there's some highlights. I went up to Maine to the International Cryptozoology Museum to see Lauren after I did the interview. So I happened to be up there for business. I hope my work's not listening right now. And I did a side tour, a detour, and got to hang out with Lauren. And Lauren was so gracious. He came in just for me. It gave us a private tour. Just had a great time spending some time with Lauren. So there's some really things like that really stick out to me. But I think I jumped off subject a little bit with you, Joel. But if you want to reel me back in, that's fine.
Nah, that's cool. No, I like hearing what you're talking about. Getting out there and talk to these people and really, you're keeping the consistency there, but you're also adding your own touches into it. I think that's really important because, the interviewer also needs to flesh it out a little bit more beyond the, who's, what, where's, and why's. When I read stuff, I like to find out what makes these people tick. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you get to that root question, why they're doing it.
I think so. I mean, sometimes there's a little barrier that goes up because I think that some people feel that there's, it's not unheard of that, some people feel that there's things that go on in the Bigfoot community. There's bickering, there's this, that, and the other. But all I can say is what I've experienced is that everyone has been gracious, supportive, and helpful. I mean, there's a few researchers I reach out to, and they want to kind of make sure that I'm legit, and they say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And Doug may not know this, but normally I just name drop. I say, "Hey, Doug's helping me," and then but then I drop it, and then as I add some folks, I just add a few folks, and then it kind of they let their guard down, and then it's fun, and then we're just having a conversation. And we're, I ask some personal questions. Some of them will get in the book. I wish I could get the whole entire interview in the book. But what my plans are, Joel and Doug, is what doesn't get in the book. I can do some bonus material on when I get my website completely built, and then maybe anything that doesn't make the book, readers can go onto the website and they can see. Here's some not outtakes, but here's some bonus things that didn't make it in the book.
Okay, kind of like an addendum, like a secondary book. Yeah, that would be cool.
Has there been anybody, Tim, that you've talked to where you're going, nah, they're not going in the book?
Right?
I know, because I was turned down by one person, two people actually, and one was legitimate, one was. I think actually, three people. I just got, and two of them were just time because they just didn't feel they had the time right now. One just blew me off because it was just, I'm not going to get into that. But the good thing is I leaned on folks. I mean, I listen to enough and read enough about the subject that I hate to say vetted, but I wanted to see who was out there, and if I had a question about something, I would reach out to someone, and then I would just talk to them. And so I don't know if I've had anyone that I really haven't talked to anyone that I said, wow, you know what, this person might not be made for the book. And then So Joel, another thing Mr. Doug Hychek did. So when I originally gave him the concept of the book, and you'll appreciate this, Joel. He says, "Well, Tim, after you do the first book," and then I paused. I said, "Wait a minute, there's going to be more." He goes, "Then you can do regional books, and
oh boy."
You can add more researchers. So actually, it's brilliant because that way I feel like I can get more people because I can't get them all in one book. I know. I wish I could. The book would be 10,000 pages. So he goes yeah. So then you can just do regional books. You can have a series of books, which is a great idea. But I'm like, oh wow, I'm going to be writing books for a long time.
Job security, my friend. I mean, you'll never end that way.
Yeah. Well, it gets better. Then he goes, well, then after you do Bigfoot, you can do cryptids. I'm like, Doug, I mean, I'm not a young guy. I mean, how much time do I have?
And then when you're done with that, you might as well run over to a few haunted houses while you're at doing that.
Oh, Doug,
get that done.
He mentioned that and UFOs. So
yeah.
I mean,
obviously cover it all.
Yeah, obviously, Bigfoot's my thing, but who knows? We'll see what.
Have you ever been out in the field, Tim?
And
not. Did you get out to the field much?
Not specifically. So what's different from me than most of the folks or all the folks you get on the show is, I'm not a researcher. I'm an enthusiast. I like hiking. I like getting out in the woods and such. But I've never gone out there, with obviously most of the researchers I talk to in the book, they say, well, you got to, you go out there to have fun, enjoy the woods, but have have a purpose if you in case you come across evidence. But no, so I've never gone out there with the objective to, not that it won't happen, because I've got some now, and especially now that I'm meeting some new folks. I've got connections now that I can say, hey, I'm going to come up, like Steve calls up in New York. I said, hey Steve, if I come up to New York, we're gonna get out in the woods, right? He said, yeah, sure enough, come on up. So that's pretty cool. It's been fun.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with Bigfoot community. I mean, I would say, I can't use a broad brush to say everybody, but most folks, the ones I've encountered, are more than willing to take anyone out. I mean, they just love to share it with people.
Right, right.
So, that's the great part about it, is they love to take just about anybody out there. And when you're out there and you're out there with them, you're learning so much, you're out there and you're actually doing it. It's addicting. It is addicting.
I think that's something, Joel, that's changed over the years, is that the influencers or the researchers have been more open to what they're doing, and they're more open to helping others, new researchers who want to get involved. Because I think the general feeling is, the more people that are out there doing things, the closer we're going to get to solving this mystery.
I think the realization is hit, and I of course, this is my own opinion. Take it for what it's free and it's worth every penny. I think that most of them have figured out that the best way that they're going to come across discovery of Bigfoot is not as a separate entity, but as a unified entity. Bringing all their information together, talking with each other. Because there's that nugget that maybe they know about but the other guy doesn't, and vice versa. That kind of brings it even closer together and maybe fills that gap of knowledge. I see that a lot at conferences.
And I've heard that
people are networking and talking
with some of the researchers and such. They've expressed that. They said, "Hey, I wish we could definitely do more collaboration on it."
Yeah. But it's getting better, because there was a time where it was ego driven. I don't want to share my evidence with anybody. It's all mine. Stuff like that, where it's not so much like that anymore. 100%. And that's a really good thing.
It is. I think it's pretty cool. So, and then, I think there's just some things that I've uncovered, and I don't hate to say uncovered, but as you talk to these researchers and influencers, because they're not all, some folks aren't doing researchers. I had a great conversation and interview with Les Stroud. So I've obviously Les, everyone knows who Les is, and he's not a researcher, but he's an influencer, because he's he's making a difference.
Survivor man. Yeah, I mean, he's a survivor man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got an audience that he can speak to and share what he's experienced, which is really cool. And then Doug, and I hate to say just Doug, so Doug, no offense here, but Doug, Alex, and Blaine, I'm not sure if there's anyone else in the family involved. They've got some cool features that they're going to do in the book. I mean, we're going to do, so I'm going to have the chapter set up. I'm going to have interviews. I'm going to hopefully share things that many people don't know about that some of these researchers are doing. Doug's got the ability, and many of those who's listened to the show probably know, he can do some unique things. We're going to create QR codes for some of the things in the book. And the reader can click on that QR code with their mobile device, and we can link that to an audio, a video, a picture. So we're going to do some of that. So I think we're going to put some really cool things in there, like Ron Moorhead is in the book, and Ron, we may put some of the Sierra sounds. So a reader can click on that QR code and actually listen to the Sierra sounds. Just some cool things like that that we plan on doing. So that's pretty unique. I just chatted with Josh, who does the maps, and I'm gonna have I'm gonna put together a map with some data around reports and sightings and historical sightings, which is definitely interesting. And there's just really some unique things I hope that I can bring to the readers.
Yeah, the hard part will be just trying to figure out what videos and audio you want to put in. You know what I mean? Because like David Ellis.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know.
Put some of his audio in. He's got some amazing, but how do you narrow it down to one or two?
You're right, Doug. Well, you know, what my hope is, I could probably write a book on each one of these people. So I obviously I can't do that. But what I hope to do is just give them a glimpse and say, hey, and if you need to find David Ellis, or you need to follow Cliff Barrickman or Kathy and Bob Strain, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
And then they can have. I'm going to have information in there so the readers, which may be researchers as well, they can connect with each other. Because believe it or not, I mean, even though if you're in the community, you know a lot of people, but there's sometimes that there might be a researcher doing work out in the Pacific Northwest that may not know what's going on in Texas with another researcher that's doing great work. So hopefully I can connect a few researchers together too.
Well, the other thing too, Tim, is there's so many new people getting into it that don't know anything. And this book will just be this amazing reference, It may be just a young couple that was out for a walk and they're not even into Bigfoot, and all of a sudden they hear a scream and they're in Washington, and then they can, they're going to buy your book and they're going to go, oh, here's who we can go to, to have them analyze our scream that we recorded on our iPhone. And I'm always amazed at how many young people are getting into the topic.
Yeah, I think you're right, Doug. I think there's a new wave that came through. I mean, we had the wave that came through, in the 90s with the Finding Bigfoot wave, which was awesome because there's some things that happened with that. It just brought more people into it. But I'm seeing just from talking to these researchers and influencers that there's and then listening and just being in the environment that there's a lot of younger folks that are getting involved in this, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, not only younger that are getting into it because of just interest. This mystery is being fueled literally every day by sightings. I mean, it's just constantly fueled. It's never going to end. So you're doing the right thing because, whatever you're doing is going to last long into the future.
I hope so. And thank you, Doug. The goal was to, obviously I'm focusing on the folks that are out here today. I'm gonna have a section in the book, obviously, to talk about some of our folks, our researchers and scientists that are not with us anymore, because that laid the groundwork for some of this.
Yep.
But the focus of the book is who's out there now doing the work, but without. I don't want to I want to make sure we pay homage to to the folks who laid the groundwork. And then there's so many people that have been around doing this for so long. I mean, Daniel Perez has been just around, just been around this subject forever. Tom Steenberg. I mean, there's just, and I could go on and on and on. And that some of the individuals that have been here, from even back when, what we'll call the Four Horsemen days when it started, Rick Knoll and some folks like that. So it's just really cool to try to get everyone, involved in it. And they've been great. I just can't say enough about the research. I mean, they've been supportive. They've offered help. I've got people helping me proofread from obviously my wife used to teach English, so she's been proofreading my chapters. I've got a neighbor who's John, who's helping me. Amy Boo, who's a teacher. She's Amy's proofread a couple of my chapters for me. It's like a team effort here, which is really cool. So I'm so thrilled to just be part of this.
So let's touch base on a couple of these people, these characters. Thomas Steenberg, you mentioned. Mm-hmm. I always call him Mr. Practical because he just has these sound bites that just make you go. One of them is like his famous soundbite. There's less people in the North now than there were, 100 years ago. There's no native people that even live in a lot of these areas where there's sightings. A lot of these areas are more wild now than ever were. And when Steenberg says something like that with his little, his style, it's impressive because he's such a no bullshitter.
Oh, he is. And he's totally about collecting evidence and data and just sticking to, just following your regiment.
Yep.
It's either not making assumptions, just reporting what you see and what you find. And Thomas was fun. I mean, it was all of my interviews have been great. One of the funny things that Thomas said, he told me, obviously he was close to Renee DeHinden and some of the other folks. He told me a funny story about Renee DeHinden though. He said that Renee was, Thomas has a great impersonation of Renee DeHinden. So he told me a story about Renee DeHinden chasing a bird down a trail because this bird flew off with a bun. I don't know if it's a bagel or some type of bread, a bun, but he really couldn't lift the bun because it was too heavy. So here's Renee DeHinden chasing this bird that has his bun down the trail. It's just hilarious. It's just and how you can't get those stories anymore, so it's just so cool, Yeah.
Man, cool stuff. Very cool stuff. And so I bet you've learned a lot though as you've gone too about yourself.
I have, and Joel, and some of it was just, I'm getting kind of good. I mean, again, I interview for a career, but it's different. And I've become more open-minded. I mean, I think I was pretty open-minded from the beginning, but nobody knows what this is. Until a specimen comes in, nobody knows. So who am I to say I think it's this, I think it's that? Obviously, I have my thoughts and theories, and I feel what I think what it is, but.
What is that? What are your thoughts and theories? I suppose let's dive into that.
I lean more on the science side. So, and then obviously I'm going to deflect to most of my researchers and the things I've read and where it's going to, and there's whether it comes, some type of unknown primate, an ape.
Yeah.
That being said, you know what? Until one comes in, and I think Daniel told me this, I'm going to go back to another Daniel Perez. I'm going to go back to another Renee DeHinden quote, and Daniel told me this. He said, "Hey, and until one comes, we'll worry about it when we bring one in. Let's not speculate what it is. Let's get one in, and then we'll figure it out." So, It's interesting. I mean, how can I say it's not A or B or C when we don't have one? So that's kind of my take. I try to stay open minded. Les Stroud was great with that because Les said he started. He was, he said when he started in this, he was 100% on the ape camp. He said it's an ape, it's an ape, an ape. And again, that's where I am. I mean, that's personally, I'm just going to throw it out there. That's where, but he said then he's had some things happen that he can't explain. So, he said maybe I'm in the middle somewhere. But he said I'm just not going to. He said I'm just going to stay open minded. And from what we see out there, to me it makes sense that it's some type of animal.
Did you ask Les whether he's going to continue doing more Bigfoot research in the future?
Great question again, Doug. Yes, I did, and he is. He didn't. He couldn't divulge exactly what he's doing, but he said he does have plans to do continued. And he specified he's not doing research. He just, he's just out there doing his thing. So,
which is research,
right? Yeah. I'll let you and Les talk about that together. So,
yeah, no, he brought a lot to the table, just through his credibility and the fact that he was a regular TV personality who had great outdoor skills, who had an event happen, and then he was just seeking answers.
And I think what's cool about this, Doug, is that Les has a different audience. I mean, there's the Bigfoot audience that watches social media and TV and et cetera, but he's got some of those, but he's got a whole different audience. So he's actually shedding some light on some things that happened out there to individuals that fans, enthusiasts that may not have even thought about the subject. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you do. I do wonder, and I've speculated, how many people has Les Stroud convinced that this topic's not silly?
Is right.
Is it 200,000? Is it 1 million? I mean, definitely a major influence.
It's a great question. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I agree with you there.
Yeah, there's only one Les Stroud, just like a lot of these people. If he could have, had some type of breakthrough, or he may in the future, it'll have a huge influence on the topic.
100%.
Yeah, huge.
And I think a couple things that stick out to me, of the researchers and influencers, and some are interviewing and some aren't. But they've interviewed thousands. If you combine all the individuals that are in this book, they've interviewed, I mean, it's going to go into the 10, 20, 30,000s probably. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's just so many people they've interviewed. And they were able to, again, all we need is one of them to be legit. That's, I know, and I know, Doug, you said you think that less than 1% or less than 5% of people actually report.
Yeah.
But if all these reports, all we need is one to be legitimate, and we've proven it. So I think that's what's amazing. I was talking to, Esteban Sarmiento is in the book as well. Thank you, Doug, for that as well. Esteban's really cool. I love talking to him.
Oh, he is cool. Did he tell you the story about the ape where he got grabbed and drug away? That's his claim to fame.
Yeah, but obviously he's still. He's still not going to admit or agree that this exists, but it's just getting individuals like himself that will shed some light on things with primate behavior. It's just pretty impactful, and it really makes you think about some things that might really be out there.
Yeah. How did Esteban come across as being super skeptical or open-minded?
Well, no. So Esteban, I don't know if he's listening because I'm not sure if he knows. He will have at some point. I think he's open-minded. I think one of the things that stood out to me with my interview with Esteban is, and he wrote an essay also on this, and he said there's thousands of reports being reported, and obviously, Doug, he traveled around the world with you. There's thousands of reports being reported, so there's something behind it.
Yeah.
It just can't be, hoaxes, because there's thousands and thousands of people, and there's legitimate. I mean, there's individuals here, and I'm going to bounce a little bit off Esteban, but there's so many individuals that I know. I was talking to Russ Jones, and Russ Jones, when he joined, Dr. Russ Jones, when he joined the BFRO, his very first report was a state police officer. The state police officer was with his wife and with another couple, and they had an encounter. So this is somebody that's, again, there's some people I think we gotta give certain, and I learned, again, some of this is Russ talking, and me me understanding, some people have, I hate to say more credible, but they're used to seeing, and they're talking to witnesses, and there's nothing in it for this police officer to make a story up. So I think some of those things are just fascinating to me.
It's often those witnesses too. I'm sorry, Doug.
Is there one story you heard, Tim, that really makes your hair stand up on end?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch. I mean, Lyle Blackburn had a pretty interesting one. You know what? I was just talking to Daryl Collier this week, and one of the things, Doug and Joel, I learned, like, when I started this, I wasn't sure if I was going to do Skype, or when I started interviewing people, some of them I'd done on the phone, because I can record it and transcribe it later. But I shifted to more of a video, because it's just fun. And part of it is being able to interact visually. So I was talking to Daryl this week, and Daryl's part of, Daryl's, you guys, I mean, I think, Doug, he's obviously been on Monster Quest in the past. And he was just, and Daryl's got a military background. He's 100% somebody that, is credible. And his personal encounter was just, he watched something jump across the road in front of him and get up into a tree and take off. And then the trees were, and it was just right in front of him. And it was just, that might've been, and maybe it's just because I talked to Daryl recently, but, and it just seeing his compassion about explaining this encounter that happened. And then he's had a few others after that. It was just wow. I just was like, wow, there's been a bunch that put my stood the hairs up on my back, Doug, actually. So
do you think you're a little more less skeptical after you've talked to all these people, or about the same?
Oh, I think I don't know about less skeptical, because I think when I started really listening to going back to my original conversation when we started this early in the hour, when I sat down and listened to Jeff Meldrum and Cliff Barrickman, and that really kind of let my guard down. Obviously, I haven't had an encounter, but the more and more folks I talk to, yes, I guess, Doug, I'm going to go back, and I am less skeptical, because there's just so much to it. There's so many interviews that these individuals have done, so many encounters they've had. Doug, I know you've had a couple things happen to you. Joel, when you were hunting, you've had your own encounter. So it's just, what I have after talking to a few folks, and I think it might have been Todd Prescott I was talking to. It may have been Todd, I'm not sure, but from the researcher standpoint, when they've had an encounter, it kind of takes I hate to say that it lifts the monkey off the back, because that's kind of interesting.
A little too on the nose.
Yeah. But they don't have to worry about seeing one anymore. They actually had a visual, an encounter. Yeah. So now they don't have to, not that they don't believe it exists, they've seen it with their own eyes. So then now they can focus more on the research related to, whatever their projects are going on, and they don't have to worry about, hey, I need to see one, because they've already seen one. So I think that's been interesting. So,
well, the pressure's off,
right?
In some strange way, because you don't have to convince yourself anymore. You know what I mean? Now you can just solely focus on the research instead of, the what if. You know what I mean? So it's gone. That pressure's gone.
and just I'm just thinking, and Doug, you got me going. I'm just thinking about all the stories, not stories, because they're not stories, they're accounts. I mean, Todd Neese, who's been great. So Todd, you guys know who Todd Neese is, and Todd wasn't even looking. He was in the reserves, and was on and had his visual, and he didn't even want to be in this in this I don't know if he didn't want to be, but he wasn't expecting this to happen. But once these folks get have an encounter or visual, they've got to work hard to try to figure it out. So it's definitely I think it's definitely interesting.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about Todd Neese's encounter on that military base real time, way back when I was dealing with, me and Matt were doing investigations. I remember Matt calling me and telling me about Todd's, because Matt would always get excited about military encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember how powerful that was to me, even way back. And boy, that changed Todd's life.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Again, I think some of them don't expect it, and it's just it is what it is. It's fate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was, I was talking to Kathy and Bob Strain. They had an interesting encounter down in, so Kathy and Bob and Daryl Collier and a bunch of other folks are part of the NAWAC, and I know you guys have had some of the folks on your podcast, and the North American Wood Ape Conservancy. And it is amazing the group they have there. I mean, they've got scientists. They were doing some really, really interesting things. I know they catch some heat from some of the folks because they were trying to bring a specimen in. But if you really dive in and listen to them, I would just say open your minds to it and just listen to the why. But Bob and Kathy had some interesting things that happened down there in what they call Area X, and basically they were having rocks thrown at them, and they had multiple cabins, so they would have rocks hitting the roof of a cabin. They'd run out to the cabin, and then rocks were getting thrown at another cabin. So then they'd run back. And they said it was almost like a game. So they're wondering if it's juveniles. So then during this, and I hope I'm not butchering the stories, or Bob and Kathy may be calling me after the show. So summary, the group went to one of the cabins after the rocks were getting pelted on the roof. Kathy decided to stay back. And as this happened, she heard some things going on in the brush, in the woods behind her. So then she said, "Hey, Bob, I needed you to check it out." So Bob goes and checks it out. He doesn't find anything, and I'm really summarizing this. When he's kind of observing what's going on, and then they come back and didn't find anything, and then later he goes back, and he notices that where there seemed to be some logs laying, previously, they weren't there anymore. So they're thinking maybe there was actually an animal laying there playing dead. So, and Bob may have walked right by it and didn't even realize it. And then later, and then they had a visual sighting, and then Kathy jumps up and takes off after him. There's two of them, and they ran up a hill, and that was another just amazing story. I mean, there's just so many, Doug. And Joel, I just don't know how to. Yeah. It's overwhelming, but it's awesome. I mean, just I could go on and on about some of the stories. I mean, Tom Shea. You guys know about the Nutella cast. Tom does research in northern Kentucky, and Tom is one of the most. I mean, he's like a tracker. I mean, he's like he knows his, so he's out there, and him and his partner, his team, they created this PVC contraption up in the trees. So basically high enough up and between trees where they knew only certain animals could get to it. And they put a Nutella jar in there. Well, they came back to check it, and the Nutella jar was removed, and it was on the ground. And when he grabbed the Nutella jar, he noticed that the cap was off. He noticed that it looked like there were handprints in it.
Mm-hmm.
So he threw it in the cooler, cast it and froze it and then casted it because he does a ton of casts. And he thinks and it might be it's a cast of what is suspected to be a Sasquatch in the Nutella jar, and that's just it's just super interesting. And then when he's like some of the other casts he does, I know Tom Shea will take casts, and Cliff and I were talking about this, and he'll make copies of the cast and get them to Cliff, and then Cliff was mentioning to me. He had found, because Cliff is so excellent on just documenting and studying footprint casts, and he noticed over the years he found a couple of the casts that Tom had sent over a period of time. He said, "Hey Tom, these are the same individual. They were 3 years later or so. I don't know what the time frame was, but Tom sent 2 separate casts at 2 separate times, and it's the same individual. So that's pretty cool too. So."
That's a neat story. That's neat evidence, what that is.
Oh, my gosh. I'm just scratching the subject. I mean, it's just we can talk about the Olympic Project, folks. I know Amy Boo's part of that. I just talked to Shane Corson this week, and hope to get some of the other folks in the book as well. And they found nests up there up in the Olympic Peninsula up there. And they've, and a bunch of scientists have been up there. So some of the scientists, Doug, I know you're part of Project Zoo Book. Some of the scientists that are in Project Zoo Book have been up there too, as well as Jeff Meldrum and some other folks, and it's just amazing some of the things that are going on out there. And I think the overwhelming thing is because one of the questions, and Doug, it's an honor actually, because when I hear you, I heard you talking to Jeff last week, and when you asked him about the elevator pitch, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I think Doug heard that from somebody, because that's one of my questions, which is an honor, Doug. So it's just so cool. I think most people say when they talk to skeptics, I mean, if you're closed-minded, you're closed-minded. You're not gonna listen. But if you're open-minded, most folks say most people don't know how much evidence is out there. Things that Doug and his team has done, things that everyone in this book have done. Nobody knows. Most people, the normal people that aren't into this subject, they don't know about it. So if they can open their minds and say, hey, do you know there really is evidence? There's thousands of reports. There's hair samples. There's footprint casts. There's all kinds of things that happen. And it just opens their eyes, to it. So
yeah, it's just amazing.
It is
all the when you talk to everybody individually, and then of course you get their stories and you hear about their evidence, and really it's really eye opening. I would imagine going into it, you had no idea what you're getting yourself into in some regards, and now that you're knee deep into it and you're on the tail end of it, your mind's got to be blown.
100%. I think what Rick Knoll did up there with the Skookum cast is just amazing. And then a couple controversial things. There's always some things. I hope I can keep some things in the book that are just you got to make it fun and interesting. I was talking to Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Paul Freeman is always a controversial subject in the Bigfoot world. Yep. It just always is, and even me. There's times that I'm thinking, okay, is 50-50? Is it this way? It's this way. And most people feel that Paul had, he had good evidence and he put the time in. And then whether he hoaxed a couple things or not, I don't know if I say hoax, but maybe he created his own things. Again, I don't know enough about it, so I'm not going to digest on it. But what I will tell you a story that Jeff told me. He said, so Jeff and his brother were visiting Grover Krantz, and on the way back they got detoured due to some weather, and Jeff decided to just pop in and visit Paul Freeman. Paul Freeman had no idea that he was coming by, so Jeff said he literally pulled up in front of Paul Freeman's house, and Paul Freeman was pulling into the driveway coming home. He introduced himself. Paul Freeman recognized Jeff's name because Jeff had at that point had already started doing some research on it. And Paul said, hey, I just got some fresh tracks. Do you want to go look at them? So Paul didn't know Jeff was coming. So there was, there's no reason that, Paul would have done any, hoax tracks because, that he had no idea anyone was going to come to visit him. So that's just an interesting story that came up from the book. So
there's no way that Paul would have known.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of put him on the spot there, and that helped in some regards with his name.
Yeah. And Joel, some fun stories. I mean, I think there's so many musicians that are in the Bigfoot. I don't know. I don't know if there's something something with creativity involved with, but 4 out of 5 people are musicians in some point, of some type. So that's kind of interesting. There's some individuals that have been married based on this. Kathy and Bob Strain. Matt Pruitt and his wife Emily met while they were doing on an expedition. Todd Neese and Diane Stocking Neese. They all met within this community. So it's there's some cool stories too. It's been fun. So it's definitely been fun.
Yeah, it's also brought people together.
Right? Yeah, definitely. So.
Yeah, that's just amazing. Yeah, I really enjoy talking with you because you started kind of the outsider looking in, and now you're definitely into it now. You know what I mean? And it just began with a simple message on Facebook.
It did. I mean, obviously, I knew some folks in here, but I wasn't. This was just a concept in my head, Joel. And I said, it'd be kind of neat though. But I knew it was a good idea because I said, hey, this would be kind of cool to bring to the readers, to the enthusiasts, to the researchers. Said who knows what's going on out here, and then, it's just been such a community. I want to make sure I make this about them, because it's everyone, and everyone's been. I can't say it enough. Everyone's stepped up, and they've just been. Just gracious. I mean, it's just offering to help. They're proofreading their own chapters for me, and then other folks are helping. And because I'm not a dumb guy, and I think I'm okay with the English literature grammar, but and I'm gonna laugh at Amy Boo. She's probably listening. I sent my I had a couple chapters that I already had proofread and had a couple other people's proofread. And Amy's a school teacher. I get hers back and I see all this red marking all over it. And I'm like, yep,
with a C- on it.
I feel like I'm back in elementary school, but it's fun. It's just been a really cool project, and hope for more to come. So as we move on. Like I said, once I get this one done, we'll move into some regional books and really get Tim involved. So
you got to reach out to a guy named Mike Quast too while you're at it.
I know I know who his publisher is.
Yeah. He's an interesting guy. He's an interesting dude.
Yeah, Mike has been doing research forever.
Oh my God, like forever, and kind of obscurity too, because I remember we had him at that first conference we had. He's like, I can't believe that people want to hear what I have to say. I'm like, what? Are you nuts? Of course they do. Just kind of one of those very unassuming kind of guy, that didn't think that anyone really, because he was actually selling his books, right? He would sell them. He'd print them as they were ordered. Like he would print them off like a printer or something and ship them out. It was just that, it was just that mind blowing and the research that he's putting out there. I mean, the stuff that he was doing is just like, holy crap, this is nuts.
I think, Joel, that's the biggest challenge. There's so many. I'm leaving so many people out, and I hope I don't I don't do a disservice. I thought when I started this project, I said, how am I going to get enough people for this book? Well, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that I could put in here. So I'm just trying to do my best. Yeah. And I think that's been the biggest challenge for it, is trying not to leave anyone out. And
that's just it. You talk to one person, it leads to another, and leads to another person, leads to another person. Because everybody will mention, well, if you think I'm great, this guy's even cooler. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that happens, where they recommend other people. And that's one of the great things about the field. Is most of the people in it are very, they don't like to toot their own horns, number one, but number two, they're also willing to help the next guy down the line. Like, hey, you know what? I wouldn't know everything I know unless it was for so-and-so.
100%.
So go talk to them as well.
And you know what, Mark DeWorth was great at that. So again, Mark, and some listeners may not know who Mark DeWorth is, but he's been around a long time. I mean, he used to hang out with the Four Horsemen, and I think he mentioned he used to, John Green, he would crash at his house when he was up in the area, but he's kind of under the radar on purpose. I mean, he runs the Ohio Bigfoot Conference right now, so that's pretty major, I think. But he's, I talked to Mark, and Mark's got he's got so much history in this, and he said, hey, you need to talk to this person. Obviously, Ohio has, Mark's in Ohio, so you've got, Don Keating and Doug Waller and B Mills, and you've got some folks in Ohio, and there's plenty more in Ohio that I'm missing. And obviously Russ Jones crosses over from West Virginia into Ohio. There's just, as I talk to these researchers, they say, hey, you need to talk to this person. You need to talk to this person. And it's just tough. It's amazing, but it's tough to get everyone in. So,
So what about, did you score Bob Gimlin?
Not yet. If you got any help with that, I mean, I talked to Daniel Perez about that, and not yet. So the two of the things, again, just from the history of Bigfoot. I mean, not that I said Bob Gimlin and Peter Byrne have to be. Todd Neese actually is the one who helped me. Who reached out to Peter for me, and got Peter to get involved in the book. But Bob Gimlin definitely would be just amazing. How can you have an influencer book without those two? So hopefully I can get Bob Gimlin in. And there's some other folks too, but that would be an honor to have Bob in the book as well.
When you actually sit down and talk to Bob, and you hear about that day at Bluff Creek, it gives you tingles up down your spine. It does. I mean, the guy. I mean, he has never wavered. I mean, that guy has all these years. And he's been offered money. He's been offered this. Heck, Doug, you were joking around one time. You offered him money, right?
Yep.
To tell it, yeah, he wouldn't do it.
Nope.
Yeah, I would love to have Bob part of the book, and I can tell you one other thing, Joel and Doug. My library has probably tripled or more because I had a small collection, but there's so much things out there. I've been buying books like crazy just because, and they're great. I mean, I'm diving into books and more books, and obviously we all start with our normal ones with Legend Meet Science and Grover Krantz's books, and that's one of my questions, Joel, and that I ask individuals is, what researchers influenced you, and what books would you recommend, new researchers to get started in? And in the book, I'll have a listing, some kind of synopsis of, hey, this is the top 5 books that people say to get started in. So there's some things I hope that I can help educate some people too. So I think that'll be fun and interesting.
Yeah. I think it'll be educational and informative. Exactly what you want it to be. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun. I think the reader will have a lot of fun on the way too, learning about these people. Deeper into them, that maybe they had a chance or didn't know about something. And so there it is. There's that opportunity.
100%, and there will be a chapter on Mr. Doug Hychek, Joel. So if there's any dark secrets you want to know that I may have asked him,
boy.
I can probably probably shed some light on that. Wait a minute, I'm looking here. There was something about a bike and a girlfriend when he was young, and he was riding a dirt bike and trying to show off to a girl, and he landed in a shallow river and didn't have any injuries except his pride. Sorry, Doug.
True story.
Yeah, Doug's full of those stories though. He's led quite the life,
Most
quite the life though, But doing this further and further now after you've done this book, you are going to have to write a second.
Oh yeah.
Well, what's going to happen is you're going to get done, and you're going to think you're done anyway, and there's going to be more and more, and the demand will be there, and you're going to just have to keep going. I think that Doug is right on that. You're not going to be able to quit with just the one. I think there will probably easily be a volume 2 and maybe even a volume 3.
Well, yeah, true, Joel. I honestly, I think I probably have just in my mind, and we're talking to Doug, there could be 4. I need to break up the United States, and then I can do one book on Canada, and then I need to break up the United States in 3 or 4 regions. There's just so many people doing impactful work, so many influencers out there that I want to shed some light on. And then I do want to say one thing. Most of the folks that I'm talking to, it's not about shedding light on them because they don't need or they don't want the publicity, but because they have the common goal is they don't want to make it about them, the researchers. They really wanted to make, and this is something that it was super cool when I had one of the funnest interviews I had was with Cliff Barrickman, and Cliff said, "We need to make it about the Bigfoot." He said, "It can't be about the researchers." So, but everyone I talked to, it's really the same message. So the book isn't really it's to highlight the researchers what they're doing, but I don't want to. They don't want the limelight because they all have the common goal. They just want to help solve the mystery or help prove it to science. Most of them know it's out there. They just want to have the data to show that's what's happening out there. So
yeah, once it's found, then what? That's the $64,000 question. Where do we go from there?
I don't know, Joel. What do you think?
I think it's going to change the landscape of a lot of things. And I think one of those landscapes, of course, will become forest management and conservation. I think that once, and that could be part of the reason why, and not to get conspiratorial here, why the government isn't all that interested in finding Bigfoot, because it would have to change a lot of things, the way of doing business, if they actually did discover a Bigfoot.
Right.
And now you're talking timber industry being impacted. You're talking about having to do sanctuaries for these creatures. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, because quite honestly, I don't believe the government really cares about Bigfoot. I really don't. I think it's would be more of a nuisance than it would be an awesome discovery for them.
Right. So,
but once we find it, but that's when people like you and me and other people, we take it upon ourselves to make sure that these creatures are protected.
It is, yeah, and I hope the goal of the book is an enthusiast who's not a researcher can pick it up too, and follow along, and just I want to speak to everybody. So
yeah,
I think that would be really impactful.
So were more people kind of slanted towards flesh and blood? Or did you run into some of the researchers that are kind of thinking this thing's metaphysical or spiritual? Or
that's an interesting question, Doug, because I know I'm going to catch some heat. So most of them are flesh and blood, and then some of them are maybe it's both, but then some will say, well, that's just because that's the people you interviewed. So I don't know how to really dive into that. I mean, I try to be as objective as I can.
And I hear you. You got to be Switzerland. Yeah, you got to be right in the middle. But there's an equal amount of people that believe that it is metaphysical is physical. So I mean, I've run into both camps, and both of them have strong arguments for their positions.
Yeah, and my opinion is, how can I judge one? I mean, I believe what I have my own way I lean, but how can I judge anybody? Because we don't know, none of us know what it is. So until we find out, we can't pass judgment on it, So
yeah, but we do know it is the world champion, hide and seek champion.
It is 100%.
We know that
100%. So but
so what's your hopes of the book? I mean, obviously to get in the hands of the reader. What's the ultimate goal for Tim What is your ultimate goal with this book?
Just to raise awareness, just to really open the research community to the average person, to the readers, to the enthusiasts, because the average person that walks into a conference, maybe they don't know. Maybe I'm in Florida going to a conference and I have no idea what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. Because so that's my goal. I mean, this has just been a passion for me. I have a career. I have a nice life. This is really, it has zero to do with anything, but it's just been an amazing and interesting and fun thing to do. And I don't want to say fun in a light way, because I want to put enough attention on the research that's being done. But it's not about, I just want to open some eyes to some people, and really just help connect some people and make them just so they can see what's going on out there in the community.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you've been amazing to work with.
Well, likewise.
Absolutely amazing.
And I know the audience already knows that Doug probably only gets 1 hour or 2 hours of sleep a night. But
not this week.
Maybe not this week. But Joel, and because you get them too. Sometimes I get a response at 3 a.m. I'm like, what is Doug doing awake?
Yeah. Believe me. I know.
But you guys have been great. Joel, I am so thrilled I got to meet you, because I listen to you guys every, I think I've listened to every podcast that you've done.
Oh, awesome.
And this has been an honor to meet you. Of course, Doug's just amazing. If anyone who doesn't, he's just, and I know you mentioned in previously, Joel, that he's so approachable, and he is.
Oh yeah.
And he's just, and he's pulled some strings for me. He said, there's a couple emails or calls he made and said, hey, you need to get in Tim's book. So, and if it wasn't for Doug, it wouldn't have happened. So it's been really cool.
Yeah. Very cool, Tim. I really look forward to it. Yeah, it's gonna be now the upcoming book. Tim Halloran here. He's writing this awesome book. Remember this title, The Bigfoot Influencers. Boom, there it is. You're gonna want to get this book. When it comes out, buy it up. Buy it up, because it'll also make it so other books like this are written. So it doesn't end with Tim. So other people pick it up, because the more we all know together, the more we can collaborate, the better it is for our field as a whole. And the better ultimately is for Bigfoot too. So it's a win-win. Till next time, guys, take care of each other, love each other. This is Joel and Doug over there signing off. Ah, gosh, man. It is just too damn cold. See you guys next time.